On a lonely planet slowly spinning its way to damnation, amid the incompetence and unpreparedness of lesser space programs, one team stands resilient against the herds, putting their lives on the line to aid those who are previously unaware of the quick save option. Yes, it's the incredible adventures of Jebediah and his crack team of Kerbals. They are the Blunderbirds, saving the Kerbin race one stranded explorer at a time.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Blunderbirds. As I'm sure you saw in the intro, poor old Reddit user Apeiron Thanatos got their Kerbals stranded on the Mun. A rescue mission was then launched, which then crashed. Since the Reddit post was made, another rescue mission was attempted that ended in a similar way, leaving 5 Kerbals stranded on the Mun, the original 3 from the first flight, and then 2 from the rescue missions that now, of course, need rescuing themselves. I have to commend the valiant attempts at 2 separate rescue missions, so I thought I would step in and bring everyone back safe and sound. And I'm building the craft on screen now. I originally thought it would be cool to make an XL version of the Saturn V, one that has space for 7 Kerbals in the command module and 5 Kerbals in the lander, but I then realised that Apeiron Thanatos only has a partially unlocked tech tree, so I'm limited to the 2.5 meter diameter parts as my biggest tanks. And so I had to choose a different approach for the kind of lower stage of the rocket. So I went with kind of a Delta IV Heavy style thing. So we've got that big orange core flanked by 2 other orange cores. But of course, this differs from Delta IV Heavy in that there is fuel crossfeed. So that basically when this thing launches, all 3 engines will be firing, but only draining fuel from the 2 outer fuel stacks, and then once they're out of fuel they'll detach, and then we'll have a fully fueled core to continue on the rest of the way to space, I guess. But yeah, that's the build pretty much done, and if you're a member of my Patreon page or my YouTube channel membership program, then you'll have access to a download link in the description of the video to download the craft file for yourself, as well as an ad-free version of this video, which again is linked below if you're watching kind of the main public version of this video. Anyway, zooming down through those beautiful volumetric clouds, we can see the rocket standing on the launch pad, ready to blast off. And Shurgus Kerman and Megri Kerman are on the way to go and rescue the stranded Kerbals on the Mun. Now, I made a bit of an error here. Megri Kerman, I think that's how you meant to pronounce that Kerbal's name, is actually in the lander when, in fact, I wanted both of them in the kind of main command pod because we have a launch escape system on this rocket. So if there's a issue with the stack and they need to get pulled to safety, we can just hit the kind of abort button and have the command module separate from the exploding rocket, but that will obviously only save Shurgus Kerman because Megri is in the lander. That was a mistake on my part, but hey, it kind of speeds up the whole needing to transfer crew into the lander cam later on, right? So I don't know if there's a moral to this story. There we are now supersonic as we continue our ascent to space, and you can see those beautiful engine plumes expanding as we get into the kind of lower pressures of the upper atmosphere as we get well above those beautiful clouds there. Now, I said during the build that the central core wouldn't get any of its fuel drained, even though the UI on the left-hand side doesn't seem to be showing that, but once we stage, as you can see, the central core remains fully fueled thanks to the use of those fuel lines with those side boosters there. And yeah, we'll just continue with the ascent. We are now obviously being propelled by just a single mainsail engine, and the mainsail, I think, this might be a hot take, but I think this is actually one of the downsides of Restock, a mod I use to improve the appearance of the stock parts. I think the mainsail actually looks way better in stock KSP than it does in Restock, and I think that's because the Restock model is based on the mainsail from version 1.3 of KSP, whereas in stock now, the mainsail was reskinned in version 1.9. I looked these numbers up, so I got it right, in version 1.9 to make it look like the Vulcane, which is the engine that powered the Ariane 5. I really liked it because it has it has the main rocket exhaust, right? But it had 2 little additional rocket nozzles as well that were the exhausts for the turbo pumps. And I don't know, just kind of gave it a bit of a unique look, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we're actually finished with the mainsail now, so all of this is a bit moot. We can just point ourselves prograde and then get ready to stage and deploy our second engine. There we go. Second engine, I mean the first. We've had 3 engines burning so far, but they've all been mainsails. This is now our next engine, which is going to be a skipper. That's going to get us into a circular orbit and then perform a translunar injection, which, is the burn that's going to get us to an orbit around the Mun. Well, I guess a flyby of the Mun, then we'll circularize using the Wolfhound engine of the Apollo Command and Surface module. Now, I don't like leaving debris in space anyway, because I feel like it's good practice to minimize space junk and, not run the risk of Kessler syndrome. But also I'm mindful that I'm not playing on my own save file. I'm playing on, I've forgotten that Reddit user's name now. Apeiron Thanatos is save file. So I want to keep things clean. So my intention was to put ourselves on a collision course with the Mun, drop that lower stage, and then, course correct with the remaining rocket to ensure that the Kerbals don't crash into the surface of the Mun as well. But I was just shy when it came to Delta V. We didn't have quite enough to put ourselves on a Mun collision course. So I'll have to do kind of the rest of the translunar injection / Mun collision burn using the Wolfhound engine of the Apollo Command and Surface module, and then we'll just correct our course so we don't crash into the Mun, like I said before. Here I am, just plotted the maneuver that's going to get us, and it was so frustratingly shy. I did a test flight of this mission before I filmed it, and we had enough Delta V, so I guess I just didn't do the ascent quite as efficiently when it came to filming the mission. So yeah, we have 845 meters per second of Delta V in this in the stage, but we need 851 to put ourselves on a collision course. So I was 6 meters per second short. I guess actually I could just use the monopropellant thrusters of the craft to kind of give us that little bit of extra oomph to get onto a collision course, but there's no advantage to doing it that way over the way I chose to do things. So if you wanted to do this mission, you're free to do things however you want, or you might just have flown it more efficiently than I did, and then you don't need to kind of do all this faff to ensure that stage crashes into the Mun at all. So yeah, we are now bingo fuel on our upper stage. So I'm just I thought I'd time warped kind of a brighter scenario just so that for the video's sake you can kind of see what's happening. So yeah, again, I set out to design this craft to be like an XL Saturn V before I realized that I didn't have the parts to make a Saturn V. I mean, I guess I could have faked it by using fairings to make the fuel tanks look bigger than they were, but I don't know. I'm not very good at doing things like that. So yeah, now we're doing so yes, this was meant to be a Saturn V replica. So the way the rocket was staged is similar to Saturn V. So we've got the command module here. It has to separate from the lander below it, flip itself around 180 degrees, then coast back towards it and dock. And now we are kind of set up. So although I didn't have enough fuel in that upper stage there that was now run out of fuel, I have way too much fuel in the Apollo Command and Service module. So much. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what went through my head. I clearly just completely forgot how to do a Mun mission because we end up with an absurd amount of Delta V in the command module. So apologies for that. I mean, I guess we could just say, hey, we have enough fuel here to refuel the lander and then do another surface mission. So let's pretend that was my plan, but I decided for the sake of brevity, we wouldn't do more than one landing because those Kerbals on the surface, they want to get back home. I don't know how long they've been there, but it's probably been a while. And they're all outside of their commander modules as well. They're just standing on the surface, and they're probably completely bored. So probably best that we don't, spend loads of time going back down to the surface again for the sake of, I guess I could have unlocked some more science points for Apeiron Thanatos and done a nice thing for them, but I felt like bringing their Kerbals home is the nice thing, and some of those Kerbals are, the big ones. I know Jebediah Kerman is among them, and I think Bill Kerman as well, so yeah, well, we want to get the A-listers back at the very least. But yeah, as I was rambling through all of that, we have now arrived at the Mun, and I'm performing our retrograde burn to capture into a stable Mun orbit, and then we can start thinking about going down to the surface and rescuing our Kerbals. Now, luckily, they're pretty much on the Mun equator, which makes it very easy to do a landing, and we have pretty high thrust-weight ratio in our lander. So yeah, Shagras Kerbal is now saying goodbye to us. You can pull away slightly, because obviously when we turn to face retrograde, we don't want to bash into the command module. Never mind, we did. Luckily, the Poodle engine is quite resilient, and we haven't broken any of the engine bells through doing that flip. And yeah, now we're gonna... Where have they gone? Oh yes, the UI was a bit glitchy. It kept disappearing and reappearing. I don't know if it was something I did or if it was, a Pyron Thanatos. They have a setting where they basically disabled the visibility of everything on the map screen. You'll see me rectify that in a second. So I think the game was just going, look, the only thing that was visible are launch sites and aeroplanes. So I just enabled, spacecraft and Kerbals to be visible on the map screen as well. Now we can actually see them and they shouldn't keep popping in and out of visibility. So, yeah, there we are. Now, we've got very high thrust weight ratio, so I basically waited till we were kind of right over them before I started performing a burn that's going to kill off our horizontal velocity, just so we can get nice and close. Now, although I was saying earlier that I put way too much fuel in the command module, I put in the perfect, I'd nailed it, guys. I put in the perfect amount of fuel for the lander to perform our burn, our descent to burn and landing, and then enough fuel to get back to the surface. I think I got back to the ship with less than 30 meters per second remaining. So yeah, it's kind of watching it back now. I was like, oh, it's getting quite sort of liberal with using the engines, not really aware of how close it would have been when it came to getting back to the ship, how little fuel I would have left. So that was fun. But there they are, the stranded crews. And to give credit where credit is due, a Pyron Thanatos did at least get the rescue missions to crash in the right location. I don't have to send a rover out or kind of a separate hopper vehicle or to go and collect other crews from miles and miles away. To be honest, the accuracy is almost suspicious. And the delta V remaining on both landers is too low to even get them back into Mun orbit. And no improvements were seemingly made for the second rescue mission. Well, yeah, I always want to assume the best of people, so maybe they really didn't notice that the first rescue lander would have never made it back home before immediately launching a repeat mission with the same lander design. The truly Kerbal approach, to never check, just keep launching. Anyway, Megri Kerman has successfully touched down on the Mun surface. Now we can go ahead and jet back over to our little group of strandees there. And yeah, they look fine, I guess. Some people ask me what suit mod I'm using, because you can see Megri Kerman has a different coloured suit to those Kerbals. But that's part of the stock game. I think it's called the ESA suit. Just add some blue accents to the helmet instead of the normal red. So that's how you... That hopefully answers the question if anyone's put it in the comments below, like, well, how did I change the Kerbal suit colour? That's how it's part of stock KSP. So yeah, we have planted our Blunderbird's flag, so... Megri Kerman has done some sort of counselling, made sure, touched base with everyone, made sure they were all okay. I think one of the Kerbals was just staring in a different direction, looking at their crashed ship. Maybe they were just sad. Maybe they were the pilot that crashed it. I don't know. But no more time. Oh, there's Jebediah Kerman there. Yep. Jebediah Kerman, of course, needs to get into the command module. The other Kerbal was going to go into the passenger module. So we've got Pagas Kerman there. Oh, one thing I did do, actually, I thought, I better just make sure that there's no science on board this lander that I should probably take with me so that, a Pyron Thanatos can use that, but there was no science to collect from that lander there. So yeah, now we can just get into this little module here. And then I guess we can just carry on transferring Kerbals across. Really, I don't really have anything to add. With my commentary here, just look at what's happening on the screen. You guys can see what I'm doing. We've of course got free IVA installed. That's how I'm able to manually kind of walk Kerbals over to a seat rather than it just going ping when they board and then just already sat down. That's that mod, in case you were curious about what's happening there. I mean, there is a full mod list in the video description of every video I do so that you can see what I've got installed. But yeah, just making you aware that's how that was done. And there they are, all on board, ready to go. Well, I guess we are in space, aren't we? We're on the Mun, but you know what I mean. We're ready to go back into not on the surface of something, like we will go take off, go into flight. I don't know, something like that. So now I'm just time warping, so we're launching on the daytime side of the Mun. Again, like earlier when we performed our Apollo reconfiguration, I'm only doing this just so that it's easier to view and watch as a video, right? So, yep. And then I just retracted the solar panels just because in my head canon, we kind of want them retracted so then when we take off, any regolith that gets kicked up from the surface of the Mun won't kind of fly up and damage the panels in any way. It's just kind of why I did that. Obviously, it's not something we need to be considering in Kerbal Space Program, but just, I don't know, feels like kind of a realistic thing to do. Maybe you would disagree because, solar panels... in real life, they wouldn't reliably extend and retract at that sort of speed. But I don't know. I just thought that was just a nice thing to do. And yeah, we've not got much Delta V left. As I said earlier, things did get pretty close when it came to getting back to orbit. So now we're performing a slight inclination change so we can match the mothership's orbit. And then we're just going to burn prograde. I'm waiting for those markers to appear. So let's see. Our target is going to be behind us. So we want our apoapsis to be higher than our target vessel's orbit, because a higher orbit is a slower orbit, and that will allow the target vessel, or the mothership, to catch up with us. So there we are. The second encounter, as you can see, is getting closer and closer because we have a slower trajectory. So yeah, separation of 5.2 kilometers. I think that's pretty good. We can just time warp to there and then just keep burning retrograde relative to target, then burn towards target, then burn retrograde, etc., until we're nice and close. It's truly the lazy way of getting two ships back together. It's totally unrealistic, but yeah, it's easy. And sometimes it's nice to show people that, Rendezvous. I feel like Rendezvous is one of the most intimidating things to try and learn in Kerbal Space Program. And, just saying, it doesn't have to be hard. You can just do it the stupid, easy way and be very, very wasteful of your very, very limited Delta V budget. But yeah, how's our separation looking like? Oh, it's less than one. We've got 1 kilometer separation, but now we're going to burn towards the target again. And look at those numbers drop, 0.2 kilometers. So those that don't know, that's 200 meters. Yes, I am a mathematician, and no, I'm sorry if you're an American, I don't know how many AR-15s that is, but as you can see, we're once again burning retrograde to target, and now, if we do cut away from the map screen, we have visual, and we are completely stationary, because we've killed all of our relative speeds to it. So how's our fuel level? 21 meters per second of Delta V remaining. So yeah, easily enough to avoid the docking, but obviously quite close when you think about just the overall mission we've had to do. But luckily, this rescue mission, of course, did not need a rescue mission. I guess, is that a spoiler? Like, you guys probably figured out, I am going to get home safely. Do not worry. I'm just doing here, actually, this is the Lowne lazy method of docking. Just have both vessels target each other's docking ports and watch them maintain alignment to have lovely RCS-free docking. I think I might have used RCS. Oh yeah, I think I used RCS just to slow down our relative speed as we finalize the docking, but it wasn't needed. And there we are. The Kerbals are all reunited, so that's going to be a case of transferring them from the lander into the command module. Maybe not the most realistic transfer, because of course they're technically transferring through not just fuel tanks, but also the junior-sized docking port, which is smaller than the diameter of a Kerbal's head. But whatever, we could have gone on EVA, I guess, and moved them across that way, but this is just quicker and more efficient. And there we are, all the Kerbals are now on board the command module. I decided for the journey back to Kerbin to leave the lander attached, so it served as kind of like additional space for the Kerbals to kind of live, because it's quite cozy in there, right? All 7 of them all squished together in that command module there. But yeah, now we're performing our Muna escape burn to get back to Kerbin. Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's the rescue basically done. I always get one of the comments I get a lot. Let me try that again. One comment I get a lot is, "Can you bring back Blunderbirds?" or "Why did you end Blunderbirds?" And all. Like, I have never formally ended Blunderbirds. I just don't do it very often because I feel like it would get a bit repetitive. And also, I've kind of done a lot of rescue missions at this point, so I only try and do ones that I think will be special. So I did that big Lathe one a while ago, which was required me to build an aircraft that could circumnavigate Lathe and land in the ocean, and then another one that could land in the ocean as well and then get back into space. And then there was a Juno one I did a while ago where there was multiple strandies across Juno, so I had to have like a flying rover, so a plane that can fly from the main landing site to go and collect the one Kerbal stranded miles away, and then get back to the main lander, and things like that. Fun old missions there. I think I had one mission as well where some of the strandies were tourists, so they can't go on EVA to transfer, so I had to build this rover that could dock with the lander, tourists could transfer across, and then the rover would drive and dock with the rescue vessel. So things like that. So I'm not like I don't stop Blunderbirds, but I only do it now for missions which I think are interesting or funny. And I thought this one was quite cool because I commend the attempt at rescuing a rescue mission and then having to try and do a rescue mission for that rescue mission and subsequently requiring a rescue mission. I've now said rescue so many times it no longer sounds like a real word. But there they are, coming down. We're now subsonic with our parachutes fully deployed. So we're coming down relatively slowly, but I thought I'd just reduce our landing weight by ditching the heat shield. There it goes. And I guess kind of the lower command pod there sort of serves as like a little hull to keep us stable in the ocean whilst we wait for kind of recovery vessels to get us. And there we are, splashed down. A little bit difficult to see. We can just time warp to the day to get a good look at not just the splashdown vessel, but The surface water looks so good. So Scatter got an update along with Volumetric Clouds, and it now looks so good. I love it. Can't believe how good this game looks now. And yes, massive thanks to the names on the right side of the screen there. They're, of course, my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members who make all of this content possible. If you want to join, you know how, using the links in the description below. But that is it for this video. I very much hope you enjoyed it. Any ideas for future videos that you want to see, always leave them down in the comments, as well as just comment whatever you want, really. I mean, what's your favourite DS model? I really like the DSi XL, but